Good morning, friends, and welcome back to my channel. Or if this is your first time here, then hi. My name is Carrington. Big, huge, special welcome to you. I hope you will consider hitting that subscribe button, clicking the little bell so you'll be notified of all my future uploads, as well if this is your 10th time, 100th time, 50th time, second time here, and you still have not yet hit that subscribe button, I absolutely invite you to do so. I would love if you would join this dumpster fire, dumpster fire, dumpster fire of a channel. So if you guys are excited to see what today's video is all about, then definitely keep on watching. All right, today is day 4 and the last day for trying out the Juvias Place quads. Today we have the honey palette. So I have already reviewed the grays, the mints, and the army. So today we are focusing all on the honey palette. I have gotten my first impressions of each of the palettes except for the honey. So today we're going to try that out. And then once I am done, I will give you guys my first impression thoughts on this palette. And then I'm going to rank these. All right. So here's what the inside of the palette looks like. Definitely a very nice orangish. The one thing that's different about this and the other palettes is that this only has one shimmer. The rest of them are mattes. So let's go ahead and let's dive on into some swatches. Okay. So here are the swatches. So this is the very first shade in the palette. This is the only shimmer. Here is more of that deep matte. And then this is the last shimmer in the palette. Now, I'm sure as you can tell, because I can definitely tell, these two look almost identical. Even within the pan, they still also look almost identical. It's yeah, you know, even blending it out, like they just look super identical. Yikes. Okay. You know what? I haven't even tried it yet, so I'm just going based off swatches and based off the pan. So let's go ahead and let's just dive into this look. So first I'm going to take this fluffy brush. I'm going to go ahead and dip on into this shade first. Okay, this has quite a bit of kick up and it doesn't really coat the brush that well. So for me to be able to coat my brush, I don't know if you guys can tell, like the amount of kick up that's in the pan. It's a lot. All right, let's go ahead and start swishing this around. Okay, so this is, you know, definitely pigmented. I maybe didn't need to coat my brush all the way, but we'll just go ahead and get started. Okay, so here's that eye. So now, or here's that eye, here's that shade. So now I'm just gonna take the same brush and I'm just gonna dip into this shade now. I'm not gonna coat, I wanted to say quote. I'm now going to coat my brush like lightly with that shade and just kind of focus it a little bit lower into that crease. Okay, so like on the eye, once you like pair those two together, you can see some of the difference, but I don't know that it's different enough that I think we needed both. I really think we could have done with like another shimmer, kind of like how all the other palettes had like another shimmer. So I feel like we could have worked with that a little bit more. It just looks so similar. Like, I know it's like somewhat different, but it just seems so similar. Okay. Now that that's all on there, let's go into this shade right here. This is going into the outer corner and like the very lowest part of the crease. So like when I open my eyes, clearly you can't see my crease. Like my crease is gone. I have hooded eyes. But I do, you know, blink, look down. So what I like to do is I do like to go ahead and start like this outer corner, you know, focus it really along the lower lash line specifically. And then I will like take it up into like this crease part, like right here. Like it disappears whenever I open my eyes, but whenever I look down, it just kind of seems more put together. So that's something that I really like to do with my hooded eyes. Okay, there's no one hooded eye shape. There's just not. So every technique, whatever technique you use for your hooded eyes, I'm sure is equally as good and can be completely different than mine. Okay, so next up, which is the only up that we have, is going to be this like shimmer shade. The shimmer shade does look kind of, I don't know, dark maybe? Okay, that's not bad. I'm going to try taking a brush with that shimmer, seeing if any of it will even get on the brush. This is like a packing brush. Okay. And just like see if I can get really like in that inner corner. Just like bring it up nicely. Okay, so here's this eye completed. So I'm gonna go ahead, go off camera, complete my other eye, my face, and then I will come back, give you my thoughts on this palette, and then get into the ranking. Let me know, go ahead and comment down below which of all of these do you think is going to rank number 1, and which do you think is going to rank last? Let me know your thoughts already down below. All right, so I am back with my full face done. What do you think? All right, so let's go ahead and talk about my final thoughts with this specific palette. First things first, although on the eyes eventually it does look a little bit different, I feel like these are so similar that you really could have gone a different way. You could have just left this and made this like a lighter shimmer, or you could have made this lighter and kept this so you had more of a better transition tone. I mean, it's not a bad transition tone, but I think we could have made it lighter. So I think there's definitely some things we could have changed. I really like this shade. I think this was good. I do really like this shimmer. Again, I just wish there was something lighter. Like in my inner corner, I feel like we could have had like a really, really nice like champagne kind of a shimmer. And I think this is going to be fantastic. I think that would have been great. Or, you know, we could have left this the shade that it is and just made this a hint lighter and left the shimmer the same. I think either way could have been a really great option for this. But overall, I think the quality of this is really nice. They were pigmented, they worked well together. I'm overall impressed with my final look. I love how like in my Shop My Stash, I do have like a orange-ish kind of blush, cream blush from Fenty. So that's what I use to really like incorporate in the orange into the rest of my look. And then we have the lips that's going on. Okay, so let's get into the exciting part, and that's going to be ranking all of these palettes. So let's go ahead and let's get into the ranking. Let's start from least favorite to most favorite. So least favorite is going to be the grays. There was so much about this palette I did not like. I think that like this matte right here was a decent matte. However, I feel like I couldn't build it up quite to the intensity that it was like right here. Like I feel like there really wasn't much, you know, being able to build it up to this. So I really wish, we could have got more depth and dimension out of this. But overall, I feel like this is decent. I don't hate it. So the things that I do hate, I hate this satin shade. In the pan, it looks fine. It looks almost like a matte. When you swatch it, again, it looks almost like a matte. When you put this on your eyes, it is not like a matte. It looks like a robot with lube all over it. It's like, Do you see all that glitter? Like, look at the amount of glitter. But when you look at it in the pan, you don't see that glitter. Oh, but then you try applying it to your eyes, and it's just, it looks like a robot with lube. That's what it looks like. It looks like a legit robot with lube. And I hate that. I do not like that at all. It was not a cute shade. I don't really feel like there was a purpose for that shade. I mean, I'm sure you could, you know, I guess use this all over the lid and then go with this to get that. I don't know. To me, no, I didn't need this. Especially because we already have some really good shimmers. So I really wish this was like a solid matte. And if it was going to be this satin shade, as it appears, it was not as glittery as this. That was terrible. So I don't like this. The next are these shimmers right here. They look very, very different when you swatch them. So one is definitely more of like a very like cool tone purple, blue, kind of a gray. And this one is definitely more of like that yellow toned, warm toned kind of a gray. But I found like when I put them side by side on the eye, I did not really see much of a difference. It really doesn't look like this is darker and this is lighter. It didn't look like that at all. It just looked like it just bled together. So I really feel like we could have done, like maybe made this more of like a like gunmetal kind of a silver and left this the same. And then made this a matte. I just overall, like, if the only thing that I like about this palette is this matte, and even then I'm not able to build it up to the depth and dimension that I want, I would just say I don't care for this palette. I think this would make a great companion palette. A like fantastic companion palette. Like you could easily like add like these like grays into this look, and I think that would be beautiful. But for me, like, I am not huge on companion palettes. I have a few companion palettes in my collection and they just like don't get love. So I was hoping that this would be like a great gray toned palette that I could just travel with, carry with. And I'm just disappointed that this really seems like more of like something that would be a companion palette instead of like a quad I can just go with on the go. So slightly just like kind of like a lot disappointed in this. In third place, which is like, it's so sad. But in third place, we have the Army palette. Okay, when I look at this, I wanted to love this. And let me tell you, this green right here down the corner, I love that. Like that is beautiful. Like that is good. Like that is a good, oh, that's a good shimmer. Like you can't tell me that's not a good, I mean, look at that. That is an incredible shimmer. Don't tell me it's not. But again, there were just some issues. I think this matte was great. I really had no issues with this matte at all. This matte right here, this is a green that's kind of hard to formulate. An army green is hard to formulate. It just is. And so I didn't have anything really light enough to blend this out. And so just, this shade just looked so patchy. And honestly, like this, I would need something else to work with it to not have it be just like as patchy as it is. And unfortunately, if I was taking this on vacation, there's not really, you know, anything else I could have added. I'd have to bring a whole other palette. Like maybe I would have to use like the lightest shade here, or, you know, like a shade in like the mint, or, you know, like something like one of these would have had to have been, or, you know, like this, or, you know, just something. One of these, like this, again, I would need something to help make this not so patchy. The shimmer right here is so lackluster. When I used it, I just did not see, like, you know, even here, like the shimmer, the vivan, the vavoom, the wada, like, you know, like that I want from a shimmer. It just is so very just like lackluster. So overall, yeah, I think what really stole the show for me is the shimmer right here. And I'm perfectly happy just having this shimmer, you know, because I could use it with any of the other palettes, you know, for that shimmer. But I feel like these two shades I had such issues with that, although I love this color story, and this is like definitely like a color story for me, I just had so many issues with it that I'm like, no. Number 2 is going to the Honey palette. Number 1 and 2 was really hard to decide on. I'm not going to lie. But the reason why I have to rank this number 2 is because these two mattes are just so similar. I feel like we really did not need both. I do love the shimmer. I think the shimmer definitely gave some vavoom. I love this for like deepening up the outer corner. I just wish there was something different about these shades. I don't care if like we kept this and made this like a more champagne, like what I've got on my inner corner that came out of my highlight palette, something more like that. Or if we like just like made this lighter, or you know, more like a yellow maybe, because these are all more orangish. Like we could have done like a really nice mustard yellow. I think that would have been nice as well. Like we could have went a number of directions with this, and I'm just disappointed just because I'm like so disappointed that these two are so similar. Like on the eyes, like as you can tell, like they are different, and you could kind of tell that on the eyes, but I definitely want something that I know is going to be different. And so I just wanted more from this palette in terms of those shades. So that leaves number 1, and number 1 is the Mint palette. Now I will say, for some pastel greens, this is an incredible formula. Now with this formula, you do need to like pack it on there first and then go in again and then start to like lightly blend it out. That works the best to really get you the most pigment and payoff. So just be like mindful of that. That's something that you need to do. But I do love how like these two shades are absolutely different. Here, like this one looks silver. This is what blows me away. That looks silver. But when you like swatch it, it's green. It's like a shifty green, like a chameleon kind of green. I love that. And I love how these two are definitely different, and I could go in, you know, a number of directions. I will say the shimmers aren't as like bam in your face as like the green from the Army palette, or, you know, even like this. I did have to definitely like build it up. It definitely works best with if you wet something, so you can wet your finger, you can wet a brush, whichever, and that gives it more like bam bam in your face, which, you know, I don't think is, you know, there's anything wrong with that. Some people like lighter shimmers, and I have like swatched these, and right, you see, like these are just much more like light. Like here's this much more light, and here's this more in your face. But I was able to get it to build up. But the thing that just trumps all of these other palettes is that you have two mattes that are very, very different. I didn't experience any patchiness. I figured out a way for this to work where I pack it on, blend it out. I tried that with the other palettes as well. I feel like this matte formula is incredible for a pastel mint shade. I think it's fantastic. The shimmers are different. They are markedly different. They're not like the grays palette where you put them together and suddenly they look exactly the same. Or, you know, it's like the Army palette where one of them is just absolutely like, I don't even know why that's considered a shimmer. These, you can tell they're considered a shimmer. They're not as in your face as maybe the Honey, but you do get some like differences. You get two very, very different shades, and I like the direction that this palette was going. So that's why this one is going to be number 1. All right, and that is it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, please give this video a huge thumbs up. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, click the little bell if you have not already. Let me know if you liked this series. I do have another one planned on coming up where I'm going to be doing again, ranking some trying out some palettes, ranking the palettes at the end. Let me know if you enjoy this, because I can incorporate this in other months. That's not just trying out some eyeshadow palettes. So definitely let me know all of that down below. I absolutely love doing this video. Let me know if you guys, after this review, are going to pick up any of the quads. Are you kind of like, yeah, you know, I'm good. I'm probably going to wait for another another palette to come out that, you know, spend your money on something that might be a little bit better, more cohesive kind of a thing. Let me know all of that down below. But I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.